So after doing lots of research and bidding on the internet, I think I've found the perfect car for towing my caravan. Here is the car that I have bought. Yes, it's the Range Rover SVR. Now, a few people may comment that I'd have been better off getting a Toyota Land Cruiser based on this short video evidence. I tried looking for a Toyota Land Cruiser in a slot car model and couldn't find one. Here's why this car is so fascinating. If you look at the back of the car, you will see it actually contains a UK registration number, OV60GKY. Now, I decided to punch this number into the UK licence plate system, and believe it or not, this car actually exists and is registered on the DVLA UK website. It's actually taxed and MOT'd and is owned by someone in the UK. So I'm guessing that it's owned by Pinewood Studios, and the reason being is that these cars were used in the recent James Bond film, and as you saw in the earlier clip, and I think what they've done is registered this car to Pinewood Studios. I can't say that for certain, but what a fascinating car to actually have one which is a model of something which is actually registered and currently being used in the UK. If you're watching this video and you are the owner of this car, please drop me a line. I'd be really interested to know if you have seen or owned the actual car. Let's have a quick look underneath it. This is a pretty basic and well used car. The braids are obviously very worn. We've got tyres that are treaded tyres and probably don't offer much grip, and we've got a massive gear wheel on the rear axle there. There are some magnets which are visible just under here. Now, for the first time on this channel, I'm not going to remove the magnets because I think to tow a caravan this is going to need all the traction it can get. Here we are with the body shell off. As you can see, very simple setup here. Massive gear cog driving that rear wheel just on the one side. We have actually got the plastic bearings, so not aluminium, so clearly this has been made at a very cheap budget. Now, before I could get this car properly tested on the track, the first thing I had to do was increase the height of New Bridge, because unfortunately this car is so tall it can hardly fit under the gap. So first things first, let's give the car a quick run around the track and make sure that it works. Oh, bit of a slow start there, just taking it steady to start with, just to get the car moving to see if it will handle the track okay. Don't want to be going too fast just yet, I don't want to break it, but it seems to be running quite well, doesn't it? Look at it. Over the new bridge. It takes that 180 extremely well. Obviously the Granger Straight's never going to be a problem for any car, but getting around that 180 is never easy for virtually any car, and this one just does it. It's probably, of course, because, let's be honest, it's got its magnet still in it, so that's going to help a great deal. But it's doing okay. What we'll do in a minute is we will give it a bit of power and see what it's like. But I'm pretty impressed. So let's put a bit more power on now. It picks up quite well for a very basic, bog standard scale electric car. We're getting some speed up now, look. Oh, and it's off. It's slipped off the track. I'm convinced that this car is able to get round my track well enough to be able to pull a caravan. The question is, can we get a caravan hooked up to it? Time then to go back to Gary's workshop with this Range Rover to see if we can hook it up to a caravan. As always, breakfast of champions, and Gary has gone for the caramel one, which I'm glad about because I wanted the Oreo one. So that is the tow car.
What a monster.
What do you reckon?
Okay, I've never actually seen one of these in the flesh. I'm aware that they were made.
Yes, it's from
wheels,
a set. Yeah. Now I have tested it. Right, I've tested it on the track. It works and it actually exists.
Okay.
So that car is a registered car. The MOT runs out in August. MOT and tax.
So do we think this is a custom
This
job
is actually a car. Now what it is, right, I can tell you what it is. I'm pretty sure it's the car used in the last James Bond film.
Right. What if it's from the film, then they want to replicate the car?
The car in the film, yeah. I'm going to leave the magnets because I think that's...
Okay.
It's going to need magnets to be able to tow a caravan. So the challenge is, are we able to link that? Is there a way? When I see it now, as you're holding it there, when I see the whole length of it, I'm wondering whether it'll even be able to go around some of those 180 turning corners.
Well, there's only one way you're going to...
Yeah. So,
if I've got a long enough screw that I can just put straight up through there, I drill a hole in here.
Yeah.
I put a spacer on it. Yeah. Then just put a nut on the top and you're done.
Right, okay. If it can be that, if it is really that simple.
If I've got the right stuff, I'm going to need a screw the right length. I think that's going to be the toughest part.
Yes. Tiny little nuts and washers here that we're using, well, that Gary's using, to go onto this very tiny little, what was a suspension screw, apparently. You just get a sense of scale on here. Here's a screwdriver handle. And that's what we're talking about. So we're just sort of working the distance here that it has to be, so it's got enough room to swing, but without hitting the body of the car. See, I was of the impression that you just get out an electric drill, and so I'm so used to using the good old home DIY stuff that I wouldn't have thought about this. So this is, as you can see there, Gary's literally hand drilling it. It's interesting, you have all these special tools which most of us wouldn't have even considered putting in a toolbox.
So the next job is we're going to put a flat washer on the top of this hook because the screw head, unfortunately, at the moment just about makes it through.
Yeah, so we don't want the screw head.
We're going to glue a washer on top of here, and before we do that, it's not very flat, it's a bit notchy, so I'm just going to file that down.
Right.
So it's flat
and
clean.
So the washer sits flat to the head of the hole.
Yeah.
There we go. So very carefully placing the washer on there. Tiny little spacer there to create the gap. The nut on top, there it goes, look.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
I did just hear something stick to the magnet as the body screws.
You know, there's a lot more to this than I first thought. So a lot of people watching at the moment think, oh, you just put a screw through and that's it. But no, you've got to get it all set up right with the right spacing to give it the balance. We've got it on there now, there's a knot there. We've left it deliberately loose so that it gives room for play as the Caravan jolts and bounces around without snapping the connection off, because it has to have play in it. So there we are. It looks like we're pretty well there. So there we go. These two items are now attached, pretty well permanently attached, so we're going to have to be really careful how I transport this around, carry it around, and when I put it on the track, because it's not meant to be detached with ease. It needs to stay on. So but we've done it, and it's good. It's good. As you can see there, that Caravan is perfectly balanced, so you know, it's pretty well perfectly straight. So that's actually pretty good. Yes, I like it. The big question is getting it on the track and trying it on the track. This is it then. The Range Rover and the Caravan are now back on my track, and it is time to find out whether this little experiment is actually going to work. So in other words, will this Range Rover manage to get this Caravan around this track, or is it just going to not work? After all the effort that's gone in, I certainly hope it will, but this, folks, is the moment of truth. So yeah, off we go. And it's off. So far so good. Here's the difficult one, the bridge. Oh, it's getting over. Through the ditch slot, under the bridge. Yes! It's working! It's actually working! My goodness! I must admit, I didn't have much hope for this car, or this experiment. I honestly thought that the two problems would be the bridge and the No Limits 180. But it is managing both of these with absolutely no problem. You can see now how, as I pick the speed up, this Caravan starts to wobble, and this is where I've said from the start I felt this would be a game changer, because you need some real skill. If you go too fast, that thing's just going to flip out. The only thing I'm worried about, because there's been so much effort put into keeping this Caravan attached, if it flips too hard and you go too fast, then it's going to be very difficult to repair. So it's working, and this is just great. This is great. Very, very good. Very, very good. So there you go, folks. It works, and that is fantastic news. What a credit to Gary, really, to making this thing work. First of all, a big thanks to Peter Wild for giving this Caravan to the channel, and I'm not sure whether Peter did intend us to do this with it, but we've done it, and not only does it works well. It's one of these things where I think we can now start looking to set, of course, a lap time to see how fast this Range Rover and Caravan can actually get around my track. Now, unfortunately, we have run out of time for this week's video, but in the soon coming video, we will look and see just how fast these two items can get around my track. That is, of course, assuming that a lap timer will work with two items that are joined together. But we will find out. So, in the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and take care. Keep your eye open for new updates on the channel, and we'll catch you in the next one.